Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode here, the Kickpod podcast, the podcast dojo for inspirational martial arts talk. I am your host, TJ Williams, giving you the insider of my martial arts journey, discussing and analyzing martial arts based subjects, and highlighting martial artists of all styles, past, present, and future. And for those who just joined me for the first time, this is a pre recorded episode. So, whatever I talk about in this episode will be either coming up or has already passed. And just thinking about it, how to start this episode off, we have finally reached the final month of the year. And of course, December is like definitely going to be one busy year because, of course, Christmas is on its way. And from my count, it's about 22 days let yeah, so of course everybody's in the store getting their last minute Christmas gifts, of course ordering from Amazon, and of course people are writing down their New Year's resolutions. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be hitting the gym in January, but yeah, so of course just talking about my condition, I'm really looking forward to get back to the gym since my injury back in August. And so definitely my knees getting a little better. Yeah, because I know a lot. I've been keeping you guys posted, and I had surgery on my knee, and of course I've been taking a ton of therapy session. So I'm looking forward to get back to my old self. But I'm not trying to rush it, and just taking things one step at a time. All right. So with that being said, I got guests with me today. Of course, it's a lot easier. It's like great when you got a next door neighbor as a guest. All right, he comes from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and of course, he's a founder of Karate Unity, having 26 years of martial arts training, getting various black belts in numerous styles, and his main goal is to unite martial artists throughout cross training and to improve their martial arts style. And lastly, here's a plus. He's also a podcaster like me, so this is definitely a plus. This is a double. All right, so let me introduce everybody to Chris Hanson. He decided to come on this show and at least talk about his life or his journey in the martial arts. So let's welcome him to the show. So how are you doing there?
Hey TJ, thanks for having me, man. I'm doing great. So just welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks TJ for having me, man. I'm doing great. It's a nice evening. I'm a little injured from I just came back from a memorial seminar on the weekend there. And yeah, it was intense, man. We had like a 4 hour session. And it was a fundraiser for ALS, which is like a Lou Gehrig's disease, and we were just basically it was a get together of top Canadian martial artists to celebrate lost Canadian legends, man. You know, a lot of teachers that we lost in our past, and we just wanted to get together and train and make some money for a fundraiser. So it was a really good time. But I'm injured, my neck's a bit out. But other than that, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, well, that's the thing though about us martial arts, like doing seminars, like doing other styles of martial arts, and just these better of our other than our styles, like learn something new that we can use like for self defense and everything else. That's pretty much me when I'm going to the convention in July. So yeah, we always have some guests come in. Like last year we had George St. Pierre, which of course,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, Canadian guy. Right on.
yeah. And yeah, we had like a lot of good people in our organization doing seminars. So yeah, I know how it is with seminars. Yeah, it's always fun.
Right. For
Yeah.
sure. I mean, it was a cool get together. I mean, that's my thing, bringing everybody together. I didn't organize it. One of our guys in our network did, but they just asked me to say, they said, if you're free, come on down. And it was a great opportunity. There was kung fu guys there, jiu-jitsu, traditional Okinawan weapons, practical karate on my side, Goju-Ryu, um, Shorin-Ryu. Yeah, it was great. It was like a buffet of training.
Oh,
So yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I think of Steve Harvey would say, you can't complain about having a full plate when your goal is to eat.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Uh, all right, Chris, you're going to take us back in time with how you started martial arts, but But definitely the first question would be is describe yourself before martial arts. Basically, who were you?
Well, um, so I started when I was 10, but before then I was just a kid growing up in Scarborough, Ontario, which is like a small city in I guess you could say southeast of Toronto. And yeah, just a normal kid, but it was a racially tense time. So I was the only Asian kid in my class. And so unfortunately, it's a very typical boring story, but I was the only Asian kid and I was bullied like you won't believe, everything from the color of my skin to the size of my ears to the food I ate to my grandma to you name it, man. The kind of music I listened to, and uh it really affected me. And I just noticed that I didn't want to go to school, so that I was a pretty peed off kid, pretty depressed. And so my dad saw this, and yeah, he said, listen, you got two choices, man. You can do hockey, or you could do karate. I didn't even know what the word karate is. But he said, but I knew what hockey was because all the bullies were in hockey. All the guys that bullied me were in hockey. I go, no, I don't want to do hockey, Dad. So I guess it's gonna be karate. So yeah, that's what life was like before. Bullying and then martial arts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost sounds like my story because yeah, I started around when I was 10 years old, and now I had the same bullying that I did had when I was in school. So yeah, and it was just mostly because I was mostly obese. That's like people would pick on you because you were
Yep.
that obese, but you know that things were changing for me when I first started martial arts at 10 years old, and yeah, that's pretty much me. You start pretty much in the like late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well, for me, it was I was born in 68. So I started in around 80, 81, 82. That's when I started.
oh
Excuse me. Yeah. But yeah, 10 years old. I think we had the same start date. Start
yeah.
age. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, but definitely, you talk about all the tough guys did hockey, but yeah, if you're a fan of Cobra Kai, you know that's like yeah, you know you've seen the episode that you
Yep.
know that's baloney.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
like Cobra Kai. It was a good blast from the past. Kind of cheesy, but I think to guys that grew up with Karate Kid, we don't complain. You know? Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that they having it on season 6 coming out because definitely those last 5 seasons were like amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Really
yeah,
did a
honestly,
lot.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to meet two more members of Cobra Kai. They were supposed to come to Fan Expo, but they canceled out. I guess it was like because there was like advertising for the new season. Because yeah, before Cobra Kai came out, yeah, there was a Fan Expo, but I guess they canceled out because they had other priorities. But I'm sure I'm gonna see them again down the road. I mean, I already
Yeah,
got
that would
three
be great.
member. Yeah, I already got like 3 members from the Cobra Kai Karate Kid yeah series.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, great thing about that was I made William Zabka bow.
Oh, you met him?
Yeah, him, Ralph Macchio, and Martin Cove. Yeah, I met those 3.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I,
All right. So,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no,
Uh,
no. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm good.
all right. What was that one event that got you like interested in like martial arts? I mean, when you got started.
Well, it was the event. It was the bullying. Yeah, like there was a lot of situations at school, but there was one situation in particular that, to be honest, I've never really talked about it online with anyone. So you're the first person. I usually talk about it in general, but one day I was going to school. My grandma and my dad uh wanted to cheer me up, so they bought me a bike. Bought me a red CCM shiny bike. It was it didn't have any handbrakes, but it had like those coaster brakes where you can push back on. It was, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
can't squeeze on them, but you can push back on your legs and you slow down. But anyway, I love that bike, man, and it was brand new. So my grandma says, "Hey, this is yours. Take it to school. This and that." I went to school. I'm chaining up my bike, and all these guys started walking towards me, and I just, I see everything. They're all coming towards me, and they just rushed me and kicked my bike, scratched it all up. It went up against the fence, and I was in tears, man. The bell rang, and um, everybody went back to class, and I was just standing there in the field, feeling like totally beaten. And so I said, enough's enough, man. I told my parents about this, and my dad said, listen, you're gonna have to do something about this. And yeah, I joined martial arts, and bro, when I first stepped foot in that dojo, I saw black, white, yellow, Chinese, tall, small, fat, muscular, you name it, shy, tough, all kinds of people. I took a breath in, and I felt at home. And then I said to myself, man, I ain't looking back. And because everybody had a story to say, and we all shared that story and pushed each other hard, man, through the journey. And so yeah, man, that was one event. And the other event, what got me kind of really, really excited about martial arts is one day, I remember this distinctly, man. I was 11 years old, and my dad took me to a double feature. One of my relatives came by from England. The whole family came, and so he likes martial arts, this guy. So he took me to a film. I've never seen a martial art film before. My first martial art film, when I was, I think, around 10 or 11, was a double feature with Jackie Chan, Big Brawl, and Enter the
Oh,
Dragon. Right?
oh yeah.
Yeah, man. It was a double feature, bro. And I was like, I didn't know anything about these two guys. So I just walked in, I had my popcorn, I'm sitting down. Enter the Dragon was shown last. So Big Brawl came on first, and I'm going, oh man, this guy can move, Jackie, right? He's got all these acrobatic stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is great. So I was excited. So then intermission came in, and I was all pumped, right? And then the screen got dark, opened up, and then the opening scene, right? Dun, 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 wah! Right? And then you see like the Hong Kong scene, and then he's touching hands with the student, and then he's like, look at the finger pointing to the moon, the whole thing. I'm going, man. And then the fight scene with Bob Wall, where he touched hands and he does the Pak Sao punch. I was like, oh, I gotta try that. Right. So I got hooked on Bruce, bro. Since then, I was looking for books about him. So there was a martial arts school nearby my house, and I would save up my allowance, take the bus there. I'd be there for hours looking through all these magazines. I got like a collection of black belt all the way from 1982, bro. Black belt, Karate Illustrated, and Kung Fu magazine, man. And all kinds of Bruce Lee memorabilia. So yeah, the movies and the bullying, those are the things that got me going.
Yeah, like I say, that's like the push and the envy, because yeah, I could say Big Brawl and Enter Dragon like are one of my two favorite movies to watch. And
Nope.
yeah, yeah, when I think of Big Brawl or the Battle Creek fight
Battle
or
Creek.
whatever
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
called.
Battle Creek Brawl. That's what they was called before. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's still free on YouTube, man. Really, yeah,
Oh, I didn't
because
check. Yeah.
yeah, because I was watching that like when I was going through my injury. Yeah, that was like one of my favorite movies to watch. So with Jackie Chan. Well, there's other Jackie Chan movies that I like to watch too, but yeah, but that was one of my favorite ones to watch.
You like Drunken Master?
Yeah, I think I seen
Drunken
that
Master.
movie.
Have you seen
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two parts to that. There's that was also my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Jackie Chan, he was one of the stuntmen in Enter the Dragon, of
He
course.
was.
Yeah,
And then I didn't
yeah,
meet till later. He was the guy who had his neck broken on the set. Like I mean, not for real, but do you remember the scene in the basement when one of the guards jumped him and
yeah.
got him behind in a bear hug, and then Bruce did an escape, and then he did a neck crack on the guy.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of get him off, put him off screen, and then you see Bruce Lee just like, yeah,
Yeah. Yo. Oh
yeah.
man, I
I
love that
think,
movie, man. That movie was dope.
yeah. Now I gotta watch that movie again. That was like one of my top movies to watch. Yeah,
You know what gets me though, man? I talked to all my martial art friends about this. Is like, I don't know why they couldn't do something with that with Bruce Lee, like have some sort of a kind of like a prequel, maybe. Like think about it, man. Like like Han, the younger days, or like you know how Han and Bruce were Shaolin disciples, right? Well,
Mm,
you could kind of like have a prequel where they were training in the Shaolin Temple and how Han became a rogue guy, and his early beginnings, and or a storyline where like say his sister was raped and murdered and killed and all this, right? So you can have like a expose of Bruce Lee's sister, and you know what I mean, and tie it into like into the Dragon. Like they got to do something to rekindle that Bruce Lee icon, man, because I'm missing it. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, they're doing like all these series for Cobra Kai. They got series for like Willow and all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, do something like that.
yeah. I don't know. I think it has to do something with the Bruce Lee family, because I know Shannon and her mom they have like a very powerful kind of hold on the Bruce Lee name, and control of all that. Like, so that's my guess. I can't. I don't know if it's a fact, but that's just my guess. Yeah, has
Yeah.
something to do with them controlling it all. But whatever.
Uh, Yeah, we're gonna gotta get back to that Bruce Lee. But of course, I have like a kind of I call this the Hidden Dojo. So that's like towards the end of the interview. So, but we're gonna get back to that. But let's get more into your martial arts journey. So, can you
Sure.
think of your a memory of your first class that you ever took?
Yeah, I do. So my first class was in a karate class, a traditional karate class. Um, if you want to go way back, it was a community center program. It was a 20-week course. My dad just wanted to get my foot wet in it, and I loved it. I chewed it up. I remember walking in and doing all kinds of craziness, like Kihons on the line, line drills, horse stance training for like, you know, um, I remember those days, but the days that were the days that really hit me were when so when that 20-week program was done, I went to a legit karate school, which is the teacher who taught these guys at the community center. Like they said, listen, the teachers there said, you got to go to my teacher, which is Kwai Wong. So Kwai Wong still has a school in Toronto, Canada. He's a Chinese man, but he was trained in Okinawa under Nagamine, and strong martial artist, man. He was my first sensei slash sifu, and he mixed Tonglong Chuan, which is like a praying mantis style, with Shorin-ryu. So it was hard soft. So it was really good. So he was also trained in Okinawa too. So he had a very hard, regimented, militaristic kind of training. So if you screwed around and talked over there, man, you'd get hit with a shinai. You'd have to have good alignment with your fists and stuff. Otherwise, you'd get wrapped on the knuckles with the sticks. Like if you were to look at the training and the discipline back then versus now, all these guys would get lawsuit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, I came up from that, so that's all I know. So when I see, and I don't mean this as a dig to anybody, but when I see kids classes now, I kind of just go, no, man, no, right? But like because of the games and all these things that they play, but I think given the way the kids are now, they need their attention spans focused. So I think games will work as opposed to the military style of training. I don't think you're going to lose kids with that training, right? So I guess it's an evolutionary step. But anyway, yeah. So the hard training from Wong's karate is what I remember. Horse stance training and getting hit with the stick. Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much can relate to like how things were years ago to what's now, because mostly it was the rise of technology, and of course, yeah, we're kind of losing these kids to technology. You know, they want to be home with the tablets, of
Yep.
course, with the video games. But I kind of, well, for me, that was I was like one of those kids. I always wanted to get on those video games, but nevertheless, like nowadays, I kind of my attention is more on like things that are serious, let's just say I become retired when it comes to video games. Of course, that's my part of growing up. But yeah, I could see, yeah, like with today, I mean, we don't want to treat these kids like we're going out to war. I mean, but yet it's almost a war to say that we want you to like be careful or be aware of what's going out there, because everything out there happening. Of course, in my area, of course, there's like a lot of shootings and a lot of kidnapping, and I don't want my students to be the statistics of that. I always not on them like saying like being hard on them. I just want them to understand that your life is a big priority. I mean, if you have a jar, you got you have golf balls, you have small pebbles, and you have sand. Which one would you put in the jar first? And then if they think they can put the sand in first, they won't have any room for everything else, like the golf balls and the pebbles. So yeah,
Well, that's a good analogy, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
tell them like the most important. Even I talk about like their schoolwork. Like I say, the things that you learn in school can apply to martial arts. I mean, there's a history behind everything. Of course, there's a science and a language, and yet sometimes a little arithmetic or math into it. So I tell them the importance of school as well as the importance of martial arts. So they both have a comparison.
You're a good man. I appreciate that because I'm a school teacher by trade. That's my day job.
Yeah.
So when you tell me all this stuff, I've got a big smile on my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And also thinking about my injury, that me getting like injured like back in August. I always want to also it's important to be knowledgeable in anatomy, because I always tell my students like about like the muscles that they're using for techniques, and the spots you want to hit for like certain techniques. Like I give them like an example, like where the external observable protuberance is, and then they have that confused look on their face, and my instructor has like a big skeleton in one of the rooms, and I just like go over there and show them like where the spot that you're going to hit for like techniques. So yeah, so they have an idea. So I want them to have a visual of the anatomy.
Oh, that's important for sure. I mean, that's old school training too. Like masters would learn about how to heal the body so they can break it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So after your first class, what was your mind? Well, of course, your mindset was you wanted to continue doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I, excuse me, I'm kind of fighting off a chest cold. So I'll try to cough away from the microphone. But yeah, yeah, my mindset. So my first few classes actually, after that, I was hooked, man. Um, like when I first step foot, I mean, it was like a compare and contrast effect, like prior to going in there, I mean, I had a very negative outlook of life. I was giving up. Kids were just too mean, and I hated going to school and stuff. And then I stepped foot in a dojo where everybody's welcoming, and it was a tough environment, but you were pushed in a positive way, and the beauty was everyone is the same in a sense that we're all coming from the same kind of struggles, like there were kids that, like you were mentioning about being bullied about obesity and things like that. There were kids like that too, but the thing is, we were all together, and we're all being pushed together, and we're encouraged to push each other together. That whole unity piece, right, was fostered at a very small age. So anyway, the moment I started step foot into that environment, just how could I say, I was obsessed with it. The whole thing of repeating things and being in a group where people are beside you, in front of you, and behind you, and you're hearing the snap of the technique. You're hearing everybody doing things at the same time. There's commands yelled out, and you have to respond. And I never got that from any other activity except martial arts. And just it's just having that group fitness vibe, and then bowing and respecting your teacher, and like, respecting each other, and just sparring, and like that feeling that of that high you get when you beat someone, and then you get beaten after, and then you want to keep going, and it's just that adrenaline rush of fighting. You just feel so calm after, when it's all done, and then you want to do it all over again. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's my mindset. My mindset was being obsessed, being driven, and engrossed with the whole idea of repetition. I craved that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about martial arts, it's almost like a prerequisite or like an indemnity to other things. For me, as I was doing martial arts for like at least couple 6 years, I got the courage to go for football. I wasn't even good at it. I'm lucky enough to get one trophy out of the whole 4 years I played. But yeah, it's like a prerequisite of everything else. Like for now, well, before I got injured, I was doing pro wrestling, of course, yeah, because with pro wrestling and martial arts, it has like that same background. You know how to do roll, pro wrestling knows how to do roll, you know how to grapple, or basically if you're good at Brazilian jiu-jitsu, yeah, you have the indemnity to do chain. So yeah, that's what we call like grappling and wrestling chain. So
Change.
that's like,
Oh,
yeah.
didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even though they call it well, they call it fake wrestling, but I call it like script. So it may seem like it's like people say fake, but we still make contact. I get hurt. Well, that I'm an example because I got my patellar tendon torn. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because that jumper knee because I like to jump. Yeah.
Oh no, you see, that's the thing. People judge, man. They don't know, right? Unless you're there, or you do a deep study of it. Like I can't remember where I learned about this stuff. What's the not was it Hulk Hogan? Was he a wrestler? Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan, I think, did some sort of a documentary, and that's when I learned about how, it's scripted, but there's it's tough, man. It's hard. It's full contact, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So respect, man. Respect.
Yeah, just think about like movie actors, really it's like that's pretty much how wrestling is. It's like we're playing a character.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean you're either playing yourself or you're designing a character like that's a replica of yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So of course you got that mindset to keep going. So what would you say your favorite moment in martial arts is?
There's many. As a kid, uh, so I guess I can answer this in two steps. As a kid and as an adult now, just sorry, I'm a school teacher, so I got to write things down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just got a pencil here and just anyway. So as a kid, I think one of my favorite moments was the whole sparring piece. I was moving up the ranks, and I was pretty good at my belt level at the time, but there was a partnering school that was affiliated with us. Actually, it's the same school, just a different location, and um, we were doing these inter-school tournaments. And so one of the guys said, "Hey man, you better calm down because you're not king in here anymore. There's another guy coming down, and his name is Unaha Hong. He was a Korean guy. He before he studied karate, he did hapkido with his dad, and his dad was a hapkido master. And so his kicks was off the wall, man. He could set up kicks, jump spin in the air, nail you. He can do a scissor on the floor, take you out. His skills were amazing. I didn't know this till I sparred him. So I was an orange belt at the time. He was a junior black. And we sparred, and he beat me like nothing. And so I got angry, man. And so I went home, and I was just replaying how I was beaten over and over again. And I was just studying his moves. And I said, well, I can't kick like him, but what I can do is crash the line and trap up his body, trap up his hands, and just go to town like that. work some in clinch striking or create some distance enough to throw some counters. So I was rehearsing this in my basement over and over again, man. And then Saturday came in. It was fight day that day. Unha was there, and we sparred, and it went down kind of like the way I was imagining it, where he was coming in doing his usual tricks, bouncing around, setting up, threw a couple of feeler kicks, and then he went for that spin. When he went for that spin, I did a side stop kick and I hit him in the hip. He went down, and then I went to pick him up just out of courtesy, but he kicked my hand out of the way. And I go, "What are you doing, bro?" So it just went on kind of like that. We end up sparring each other. Sometimes, a lot of the times he beat me, but then I'd beat him because I'd crashed the line, and just that kind of fun competition among us was the funnest times, man. And then other times too, where was just like, I'm very stubborn and hard on myself. So sometimes we would be learning some techniques that I just couldn't do in class. Everybody else was doing it and I couldn't pull it off. Like there was one technique, for instance, you're standing in fighting stance and you step in, you do a kosadach, which is like a kind of like a female horse stance, and do a back fist, and then spin around and do another back fist, like a hammer. It's like back fist, spin, hammer, right? And I couldn't pull that off. I was always falling down in the dojo and stuff. So I remember, man, I'm telling you, I remember this like yesterday. I was living in my parents' house. I went downstairs in the basement. I was so stubborn. I missed dinner for this. I spent 2 hours practicing that spinning technique till I got it down. And then I went back to class again and I nailed it. You know what I mean? So things like that, these are my favorite moments. And then finally, as an adult now, I have a lot of favorite moments. Like, I guess if you could summarize it all, it would be, I'm fortunate and blessed to, talk to people like you and to just bring people together. Like I do have a podcast on my channel too, along with, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Part of my content is a podcast piece, but a lot of it is video content focusing on cross training and other arts and combat sports. But just the fact that I can touch hands and put my content out there, have people see it, and then actually invite me to their country and city for seminars. These are my favorite times, as an adult now, just the ability to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of your podcast, you also like invite guests, like say if you wanted me to be a guest on your show, I mean, that could
Absolutely. Anytime, man.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like so far this year I've been invited to like 3 podcasts. And like have you heard of Master Motivation?
No, I haven't. Tell
Oh
me.
yeah, so he's also on YouTube. His name is Jason Flame. Yeah, he's a martial artist, a podcaster, and even a pro wrestler like me. So I was on his show like back in September. So yeah, he had like pretty much good guests like Chris Kazamaza. Yeah, so if you know if you watch the movie Mortal Kombat, he was Scorpion. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, man. I'm still very, to be honest, I'm very, how could I say, very green in this space. I'm not nowhere near a professional, but I just, this whole podcast thing started, I guess when COVID hit, late 2018 or 2019 time. And then, everybody just got locked down and all we had was a camera and a microphone and, a Zoom connection to do some training and talking to each other. So, yeah, I had guests like, you know who Kung Lee is from? Yeah. So from I think he's Strike Force guy. So I had Kung Lee. He's also a former UFC champ. So I had him. I had John Hackelman, who's a UFC fight coach to Chuck Liddell. I had Boss Rutan. You know Boss Rutan?
Boss Ruben.
Boss.
Yeah, I got.
He's a UFC fighter too. Big in Europe. Pancration fighter. I'll send you some links. I'll send you the link to the video, but great guy, man. He's currently residing in California and he still teaches and stuff. He's a killer. He's just a killer. And I think he's in his 60s now and he's still in amazing shape, Yeah, so I mean, I was blessed to have a couple of guys like that on my channel, and but I to be honest, I have a family, and I'm married, and I have a young kid, so it's really hard to hustle, to get everybody together, and because it takes time away from family time, so it's a
Yeah,
balance. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was like for me, I know how it is for you to watch your daughter grow up, and of course, I'm only an uncle, but I had the opportunity to watch my niece when she was 10 years old to take her Kempo class, and
nice.
it was like you had like, of course, her in there. You had like 25 kids in the class, different ages, different belt ranks, and you had like four different instructors. I'm sitting there just watching, and I'm just there to like see my niece like take class because it's me. It's almost like her just kind of like follow my footsteps taking class. And I mean it was only a short period. I mean, of course, she had to quit. And of course, but I mean, she's pretty much athletic now. I mean, doing volleyball, she has a job. I mean, she's growing up real good. And I just so glad I got to see her after the pandemic dropped. And yeah, that's the thing about the pandemic that gave me an opportunity to start this podcast. So
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, and I was pretty much being stuck home for like 2 months after getting temporarily laid off from my job. So yeah, I pretty much had this whole thing set up before I started the podcast. So yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I I uh I'm glad you did something that made you happy. I mean, that's to be honest, I didn't really know who you were till you reached out to me. Then I started paying attention to some of the things you're doing, and it seems like you're doing a great thing. I mean, you've got a pretty wide base of guests, and you're growing, man. You keep pushing, so it's amazing. Yeah,
The things sometimes when I don't get a guess is like I have to try to come up with a subject, something relevant, but luckily this is like towards like pop culture, like whatever. Like if I watch a movie, I kind of analyze what I see in that movie and kind of contribute what I do as a martial arts, and and that's pretty much what I do with my podcast. I just not just talking about like martial arts, just like pop culture. Like that's the fun part of my podcast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of get to your first black belt test. Can you like describe, like, I know you do various styles, but can you think of one black belt test that sticks out for you?
Oh, okay. Then I'm gonna talk about this one because I wrote down my very first black belt test, but and not to take away from that teacher and that system, but the one that stands out. Well, I'll just talk about it anyway. My first black belt test was at Matsubayashi Ru at Kwai Wong, Wong's Karate, and in a nutshell, it was for my Shodan. Um, I put in at the time about almost 10 years to that level. So this particular teacher, he didn't give out belts, man. Like nowadays, I mean, kids can get black belts in a couple of years.
Mm.
I'm not going to criticize that. It's just the way of the land. But old schoolers like us, when we look back, we're going, oh man, why, but it is what it is. And every school's different. So, I can't judge, every school's different and they have different expectations and criteria. But anyway, so my first test after 10 years, we did, and it was a buildup. Like, so prior to the actual examination day for that last week, Sensei was just drilling us every day. We'd have to come in and double up on our classes and stuff just to show some resilience and things and teach and things like that. And then just go through the heavy training. And then we did the test. The test was, I think, 2 hours for my first Dan. Excuse me. And it was hard, man. We did a lot of things, everything from sparring to kata to self-defense to breaking, to doing rehearsed techniques and techniques on the fly. And then, yeah, man, we had the ceremony and a dinner after, and it was awesome. But the test that stood out in my mind was so that was in Shorin-ryu. So I did that for about 14 years and went up to Nidan there, second Dan. And then I cross-trained in another art, Kempo, which is I don't know if you know Ed Parker. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Ed Parker system. One of my senseis, Vic Arnold, he cross trained with Ed Parker. He'd always go to Pasadena and do some seminars and training over there. And then Ed gave him a certificate to teach, and he says, "Listen, go back to Canada and teach it any way you want." So Vic kind of cross trained and mixed Go Drew with Kempo, with Arnis, with grappling, with all kinds of stuff, man. And that was our Kempo, and his tests were brutal. So for my Sandan test, my third Dan, it was a 12-hour test. I did exactly, man, 12 hours, man. It was
Oof.
ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But I lasted to about 9 hours. At the ninth hour, I got my ribs kind of pushed in because I was sparring this younger guy, and he was a tournament fighter, a really good tournament fighter. And I was just winded, and he set me up and he did a scissor takedown, and I was winded. So I got up again. We're going. He set me up again, went high and then slipped in a round kick and right in here, man. And my ribs
Mm.
pushed in. I was breathing hard and heavy. I kept going, but Sensei threw in the towel and he says, "Listen, you're done. You can't function anymore now." He says, "But you put in a good run." And yeah, that particular day, it was sparring, Kihon techniques, self-defense scenario. I had to write an essay and basically stick it out for like 9 hours. It was the best day of my life, man. I remember that till now. Yeah, but and now it's time to give back. I mean, he passed away in 2015, which was a devastating loss to me and everybody else. And we actually remembered him in our memorial that just happened over the weekend there. So the sensei who ran the event was really nice, and he says, "Listen, if you know anybody who meant something to you, you can commemorate him at this event today." So yeah, I gave a shout out to Sensei Vic, and yeah, man, those are the memories. Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, the way you talk about how you describe your black belt test, that's almost similar to what I had to go through. I mean, for me, yeah, like when I did my first degree, it was like, well, the thing I did for my first degree was a lot different than what I did for my fourth degree test because of course our organization we basically changed things around for the black belt test. We basically are like testing things out. Like we want to test students' endurance. But I could tell you my last black belt tests. I mean, of course, that was my last physical test before my next rank, which is master rank, which I'll be going for in July. So for with that, I mean, at least with the master rank, I don't have to worry about doing any physical work. Just I have to do like a course, like a, a development course, and then from there, I get the thumbs up from our grandmaster Chuck Norris to
Oh,
yeah go for it. Yeah, so yeah, the style
and
I
the
strain
teacher.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, so I train the Chuck Norris system. Of course, would be a dream to actually be trained by Chuck Norris, but yeah,
Have
but
you
you
met
know,
him? Have you met him before?
oh, many times. I mean,
Okay.
we have like every July we have our convention in Las Vegas. So either you can like mostly it's expensive, but mostly when you go, it's like he's like the honorary guest at least. And like on Sundays we have like a photo op, and you yeah, of course you have to pay for the photo op for to have picture with Mr. Norris and his brother Aaron Norris.
Aaron,
So
right.
yeah. Yeah, so well so far like of course I have like four pictures with him that basically for my degrees, like I have a picture with them, my first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree, and hopefully when I get my fifth degree, I'll have another picture with him. So yeah, I
Right.
want to keep. So yeah, Mr. Norris definitely knows who I am. So yeah, because mostly because of my training here in Niagara Falls, and it's just like a wonderful ride for me. It's just like really, it's just like growing up.
I'm glad that you trained under him because Chuck always I've always seen Chuck as now mind you, I'm judging just from what I see on social media and movies and things. but I know people who do know him personally too, and they all say good things about the man. I mean, he was a skilled fighter back in the day. I think he's still pretty active now, and he's done so well. I mean, he's got like a really good world record too. I think like 6 or 7-time world champion or something.
Yeah.
Unbelievable guy, man. I grew up watching all his movies too, you know. Oh man, The Octagon. I think what's your favorite Chuck Norris movie, man?
Well, the one that thing that comes to mind is Sidekicks. Yeah.
Oh, Sidekicks. Was that with Chuck Norris?
Yeah, it was actually with another actor. Of course, he passed away. Jonathan Brandis. He used to fantasy. The movie is about him fantasizing about Chuck Norris having adventures with him, and then like he wanted to get into martial arts, and of course his school teacher kind of got him into martial arts by introducing him to her uncle who ran a
Okay.
restaurant, and I think that it's on YouTube, but it's like a good movie. This is like and he actually kind of gone to competition and he actually meets Chuck Norris and they have
Okay.
yeah, they actually have like a fighting team and then there was like a I think it was an instructor or a master from another studio who's obnoxious and of course he has a fight with Chuck Norris in the finals and of course Chuck Norris beats him and like the last move that Chuck Norris throws is like a jumping flying sidekick and the guy starts spinning, and then he falls flat on his face, and it was just funny.
Wow.
Uh,
I remember the title, and as you're telling me, I've got little glimpses of it, but I can't remember the movie. I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah, it had remember Miko or yeah, he was in Conan the Barbarian,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Asian guy, Mako. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he was in that movie. Yeah, and
Oh,
also
okay. Yes, now I remember. All right, all right. I remember now. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
he was in that one scene. He pretended he was drunk, and then he tried to get those bikers out of there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember now. I remember now. Yeah, I like watching him too on the screen. I think he did a small scene with Bruce Lee too a long time ago. Mako was in when he was in the Green. There was a Green Hornet series that Bruce Lee did, and Mako was in one of those fight scenes.
Hmm,
Yeah, he was really young then. But anyway.
yeah. Oh yeah, he was in also Big Brawl. Also, yeah,
Yes, that's right. He was the teacher, I think. One of his
yeah.
teachers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like that Cade scene. It's like after it's like throw the tennis balls at him. It's like on
That's
the
right. He's
square.
throwing tennis balls. That's right. That's right. That was a great
Uh,
movie, man. I love that movie, man. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's still on YouTube, so I might as well watch it tomorrow sometime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So of course, yeah, here you are. You've done like all these wonders to get into your black belt. Now let's talk about your current status, like with their karate unity, or yeah. So can you like give us like a view of that? Like how you said you like kind of did you like you said you found it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Thanks for asking. I
Yeah.
love talking about this because it's to me it's a calling of mine. So Karate Unity, if you can see like in the background, it's one of my banners I made up that I've been invited to international seminars. Lately, I just came back from in March. I came back from Germany. I was invited by one of Ian Abernathy's. Have you heard of Ian Abernathy? Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I took a couple seminars with him. So yeah, I know he's good with being the bunkai of
The Bunkai
katanas.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a hardcore karate man. He's I think he trained with Jeff Thompson, Peter Constantine, and all those guys in Britain that do hardcore martial karate. He came from that camp, and anyway, I'm certified under him recently. So I got my fourth Dan through him. I did my test up in the UK. So I went up there to do all that. And shout out to Christian Vedevart from Germany. He kind of put me on the map to get into the European market to do international seminars there. So so anyway, let me backtrack. So this whole karate unity thing started, I'd say, informally way back in the 90s when we were training in clubs, and we were a few of us were kind of like moving around doing stuff. And the moment we changed things up, we changed the range or crash in or change up a technique and broke out of the script of the technique, things would fall apart. Like we would have I found one of the biggest problems with traditional martial arts is we like to stay in our comfort zone of technique. So, we do all these sequences, and then the moment you break free from it, there's no solution, right? Whereas in combat sports like boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, sambo, sports like that, Muay Thai, for example, it's the applications are very obvious, and you don't have to decipher any bunkai or anything like that, right? So cross training. So I started cross training with guys under the table. We couldn't cross train at clubs because we weren't allowed to. It was very traditional. So in the change rooms, we would exchange. We didn't have any cell phones or anything. So at the time, this was like the 80s, 90s, right? So we would have pieces of paper going, yo, man, here's my number. We'll hook up on the weekend at your garage. Let's do some training, this and that. We'll bring some boxing gloves and this and that and try things out. And it was crazy, man. So we would have like garage training, backyard training. And that's when unity started. Everybody, like, we met boxers, grapplers, JKD guys, Muay Thai guys, Krav Maga people. And one thing led to another. And I ended up training at their gyms. And it was history in the making. And so now I've made so many friends in this network, and I decided to formally put myself out there. I think I started this, early 2019. I started Karate Unity as a little dinky YouTube podcast thingy, and I would just like meet a bunch of people online and throw out some really raw amateur kind of videos and about cross training and how karate can be studied, or your base art can be studied much better if you trained with a whole bunch of other people too, who are doing the same things, but will give you different perspectives on your training, right? And so this was a formula that was working for me and for everybody else. And so we decided to come together. So now Karate Unity now is an official learning and teaching collective based on cross training that consists of traditional martial artists, combat sport players, and tactical combative instructors. And so this mix of these three kind of camps, we all share seminars together, we teach each other, we grade each other's students, and we provide different perspectives from different arts and combat sports, and just to grow our own art, right? So yeah, that started in 2019. I put out some little dinky videos and podcasts, and people started to talk to each other. And one thing led to another. I got an invite from Germany. I went there, and things just started to kind of explode in a way. And now I'm kind of turning down work because, like I said to you, I'm a full-time school teacher. So that's pretty much my 9 to 5 kind of thing. I'm a husband, and I'm a dad too. And if I'm gonna be on the road doing the seminar thing, I'm gonna be divorced, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So I mean, I made a pact with my wife and my daughter. I said, listen, I'll be on the road like internationally, maybe once to twice a year, and the rest will be just local gigs. Like I teach. I'm talking to you right now from my dojo. This is my home dojo. And I teach out of my house type of thing. And I also travel locally to teach, and they fly me out internationally too. But like I said to you, like I can't afford to do that regularly because it's just too much for me, for my family. But yeah, that's Karate Unity in a nutshell. And you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I try to post maybe 2 videos a month. I know it's not a lot, but And then I'm pretty active on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, just getting content out there when I can. And I really enjoy the online community. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get difficult people on there, but I kind of gravitate towards the positive people. And I've been getting a lot of lately, inbox direct messages saying, "Hey, Chris, man, keep up the good work," asking me for requests. And and it's just, I have to manage it all. It's a one-man show, so it's kind of hard, but I do what I can. Yeah.
And and so for me with this podcast with the Kickpod, I kind of like started off back in April of 2020. Of course, like I said, I was laid off from my job for 2 months. I wanted to keep myself busy, other than just get myself back in shape. And for this, like getting guests, I mean, it's a hit or miss. But for you, it's yeah, because I was lucky. I got a message. I found Karate Unity like first, and like I found out who was the owner. Then of course I found you, and I decided to message you and see if you were willing to be a guest. So I mean, I was lucky to get like guests like you and Chris Casamasa, even though it was 20 minutes. And of
Mhm.
course, yeah, of course you're familiar with Ando Mizura.
Yeah,
Mizura, yeah.
Endo, I was on his podcast, I think once or twice, and he was on mine. So he's a friend. He's a good virtual friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, good thing about me and him, we're both from New Yorkers. Or yeah, he was a
Okay.
yeah, he used to live in Buffalo, and of course he moved. Yeah, so yeah. Mhm.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was from Buffalo. He told me that, and he's been to Toronto a couple of times too. He's a very positive person. Like if it comes to like the first person I think of who's like the most positive martial artist guy, it's Ando, man. 100%.
Yeah, I usually catch his like reels on Instagram. Yeah, it's like
Yes.
he has all the positive messages. Like that's like almost the same thing I tell my students. So yeah, he definitely has a good structure for himself.
Oh yeah. I we communicated a while back, just very loosely in terms of collaborating together. So we're thinking of doing some sort of seminar in the future. So it'll be nice. Either he'll come here or I'll go there. But I'd love to work with the man. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So who would you say you look up to in this journey?
Oh, well, I'll never forget my teachers and mentors. As I said to you, my first teacher was Kwai Wong. And we didn't really he was my first teacher. He got me into the martial arts, and later on we kind of how could I say, it was just one of those things where I kind of drifted in a sense that when I started seeing what else was out there, I just naturally gravitated towards so I had another teacher. His name is Vic Arnold, and he's the one who passed away at 2015. And it's just the way it is. I loved my first teacher. I'm not going to forget him, but I'm more compatible with the second teacher. Like Vic and I guess you could say we're very free spirited people. He would never have an issue with me cross training in another club. His thing was, listen, if you're training with me, he goes, put in your time with me, and he goes, till you understand what I'm all about. And he goes, but at any point in time when you feel comfortable, he goes, you can leave the nest. And he says, I encourage you. He says, because that's what I did. I cross trained with different artists, and I always came back. And it's like tasting food. You sample certain things, you bring it back, and it's a buffet. And you enjoy it together with your classmates and your teachers. So this was the kind of thing that I fell in love with, because naturally speaking, I'm a very how can I say, creative and analytical, and also not impatient, but kind of antsy. Like I eat up something, and then I got to try something else out. And I got to keep moving. I got to keep stimulated. And that's just the kind of student that I am. I mean, I'm a school teacher for a living, so I understand different kind of learning styles. And so the kind of student I was this kind of student, always needing stimulation. I needed to be free. I couldn't stick to a prescription. I needed to have the ability to freestyle and do things. And Sensei Arnold gave me that outlet. And I'm not knocking my first teacher, but it was kind of like a stepping stone in my journey. I met Kwai Wong, and I'll never forget him. I haven't kept in touch with him since I got my second degree for various reasons, but I hope him and his organization is doing well. I understand. I think he's still alive, but I'm not turning back. I mean, I'm happy with where I'm at now. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, those two individuals, Kwai Wong and Vic Arnold, for putting me on the traditional martial art path. And then of course, there's my family. My wife is my ultimate, I could say, safe haven, because she totally supports my craziness in the martial arts, because she's a school teacher too, but she's also a hardcore fitness buff. Sorry. She's a CanFit Pro certified professional. She teaches fitness classes after school. She travels all over the place and does that kind of stuff. She's yoga certified and all that. So she respects the idea of me drilling down on my passion as much as I, respect her passion too. So these are the people that that's helped me on my journey and I look up to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also my indemnity to fitness. Of course, I'm certified in AFA, the athletic.
Right.
Yeah, and also do Les Mills body combat. So
Yes, Les
yeah,
Mills, right. Through Good Life, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I mean that was like a fun experience with Les Mills. Of course, yeah. When I first took that body combat class, I mean, I was like, this is something I wanted to do, and then it got me the courage to actually go and get certified in it. And once I was certified, let's just say I became like the sensation of body combat. It's like I ended up teaching one gym, and then for next, people were asking me to sub for them in other gyms, and then from there, of course, Crunch kind of took over, and I had to like go someplace else to do body combat. But I always made an impact in doing that, so that was fun. Yeah.
I respect Les Mills. I have a taste of it too, because my wife introduced so my wife is a CanFit Pro. There's this organization here in Canada. I think it's similar to AFA, your AFA, but it's called CanFit Pro, and it's a Canadian organization that certifies fitness professionals, group fitness instructors and personal trainers and things like that. And every year they have a fitness conference. And Les Mills is part of it. And so we went there. There's this big studio, and they had the big screens. All the Les Mill trainers were there with the microphones and everything. And I took part in a body combat class. Oh man, it was great. It was really good. They went through an evolution. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the beginning, when they started up, it was very prescriptive, and I found their techniques kind of like a Tai Bo kind of thing. But then later on, they started cross training. I think their content creators were MMA people and combat sport guys and this and that. And so their techniques and their training was very on par with modern day combat sport and martial arts. So it's legit, man. Les Mills techniques it's legit. I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my like favorite tracks I like to do, mostly the Muay Thai track. That's like because I always have that jumping knee, and I always like
Yeah.
that jump. Yeah,
Yeah. Jumping techniques, they take a lot out of you, man. Yeah.
yeah. That's the thing about the jumping techniques. It really burns the calories.
100%, because it's an expensive movement, right? You're using your whole core, right? And your quad and hip rotation and all that. And yeah, it gasses you out quick. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See how I am once I heal. So I want to be back to my old self. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wish you a speedy recovery, man. I know how knee. Well, I shouldn't say I know how. I've never had a knee injury, but I know people who've had knee injuries, man, and it can take time. It can take time, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, man. Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yeah. All right. So before we kind of get to our hidden dojo segment of the interview, what's inspirational quote best describes your journey?
Oh man. There's a lot, but lately, uh so if you remember, I told you I went to Germany, and thanks to Christian Vedevart, shout out to you, brother. um he's one of Ian Abernathy's guys. And anyway, I met a whole bunch. So that's the beauty of karate unity, like it's like one big hub of martial artists. It's like a friend network, it's great. And so I got a German posse now. So I got guys in Germany and girls, ladies in Germany, that we stay in touch, all these martial artists. And one of which I keep in touch on a regular basis. His name is Martin Kudzia, and his social media is Karate Noise, Neuss. And Onsoi Dojo's Shimo Tolo. He's the head of that. And anyway, these two guys, along with Christian and those guys, we stay in touch a lot. So we're always talking. Martin and I, like, we talk to each other on a daily basis now. It's crazy. It's the beauty of social media, right? So he's been constantly dropping these concepts to my head. And one of the things that he constantly talks about is, he says, life is a sequence of nows. And he keeps mentioning that, and it's amazing. Like, so think about it. Your life is a snapshot. It's a sequences of nows. So when you're living your life, you just live in the now. You fulfill, you soak up all of the amazingness that's there, and you capture all the opportunities that's given to you every single day. I mean, it's a very common truth, but it's this is something that's resonating with me every day. I mean, think about it. I'm talking to you today. I'm having a great time so far, and this, I'm blessed. I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful you reached out. There's a reason for this. And you know what? You're gonna be on my channel next, man. I've just written it down.
Hmm.
I just written it down. I'm gonna invite you, and we're gonna make some noise. But yeah, so life is a sequence of nows. And then another thing that he's been mentioning, Martin Kudzia Sensei, he says, you got to know your why. Like, we've been thinking about that, a lot, and we've been mentioning that. It's been coming up in all the conversations. You got to know your why. And this is an underlying force. Like, you'll realize too, the more guests you have on, and the more you're doing your craft, you're going to realize that there's a reason driving you. There's a reason why you're doing all this. Like, for me, it's the pure love of reaching out to other martial artists. It's getting everybody to realize that we're speaking a common language here. It doesn't matter if you're doing karate or tai chi or boxing or Muay Thai. I mean, look, if you strip off all the names and you take a look at the biomechanical principles, every single martial art and combat sport is functioning based on the same principles. Ground reaction force, hip rotation, snap, movement, muscular, endurance, all these things. I mean, every athletic endeavor uses them, and so, once you've reached that level, you can have an amazing conversation with everyone, and there'll be no prejudice, right? And so, like, I mean, that's where it's at for me. It's like knowing my why. And that's another inspirational quote is know your why, right? Along with life is a sequence of nows. Yeah, those two.
Man, that pretty much makes sense. Yeah, yeah, you're pretty much living your life with new opportunities. I'm out there looking for new opportunities. It's just I want to at least grow. Well, other than staying in the same place, kind of grow and get myself out there. Yeah, yeah, it's like with meeting, like my goal with this podcast is like at least try to get somebody. Well, actually, I did get a guest that's like what grew up in central New York, and he lives in Japan. So
Nice.
of course, yeah, me and him are discussing like getting him on a podcast. I know it's like tougher because you know right now it's morning time over in Japan. So yeah, and of course it's dark over here. So yeah, so it's based on his availability. So eventually
True.
I'll be able to get him on a show and he could tell us about his style and of course living in Japan.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great, man. Yeah, the time zone thing too is can be tricky. But hey, if you guys could like come up with some sort of mutual understanding of time, and I don't see why that can't happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much like they said in Gremlins 2, and it's like if you're eating something as you're in a time zone and you cross the time zone, it's always midnight somewhere. So yeah.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Ah, oh man, that's definitely amazing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our Hidden Dojo segment of the interview. So I kind of got this idea from watching a Larry King episode or Larry King Now with Mr. T. So
Oh,
yeah, it's I kind of got this idea like this is the fun part of my podcast. So we get the hear the fun parts of Chris and it's pretty much well, let's just say side of martial arts. All right, so are you ready for this?
yeah, man. Let's do this.
All right, so here's the first question. The best advice you ever gotten and who said it?
Oh, uh, well, my grandma, man, she would she she's gone now, but she'd always say a friend in need is a friend indeed. She'd always say that, and she kind of gave me the definition of true friends. True friends are they're always there no matter what. And no matter what's going on in your life, they know what's going on. They know what's up. So yeah, um my grandma. A friend in
Yeah,
need is a friend indeed. That's what she would say.
just thinking about my grandma. It's like it's almost close to like 4 years since my grandma passed away. Well, around this time, she was like in the hospital, like 3 years ago, and of course, she was well kind of deteriorating slowly, but luckily I got the chance to see her like before Christmas, so that was like a Christmas present. And then of course she passed away, and then from there we had the funeral, and you know and at least I know where her grave is. I can always visit, so at that time, yeah, so yeah, I know it is like hmm,
Yep.
like it was like the last of my grandparents, so yeah, so at least uh,
Yep.
all right. The next question. Usually, this is the one that people don't usually get. The worst advice you ever gotten.
Oh, yeah. I this is a tough one because I don't want to piss anyone off. But oh, oh, okay. I'm just gonna say it, man. In all my years of karate training, most karate instructors, they'll tell you karate's got everything. Kicking, striking, throwing, weapon systems, you name it, it's a complete system. Karate's got everything. And here's my response to that. Nope. Right? It doesn't. I mean, if you think about it, and you go way back in time, karate masters, everything was a remix. They were constantly looking for things to add to it, to make things better. I mean, they went to China and got ideas from there, brought it in. They mixed in kung fu into their karate, and they were always keeping an eye out on what other martial arts guys were doing, so they can get an edge, with their team and with their clan. And so everything's a remix. Karate doesn't have everything. No style has everything, right? So I think that's the worst thing you can ever tell anybody, is tell them that your system is the best, because it isn't. Your system is good for certain things, but if you want to get a holistic picture, you gotta cross train like everybody else does, man. I mean, think about it. You go to school and you learn a bunch of you learn education, but you're learning education from different teachers. You're right. And that's martial arts right there. You're learning, you need to learn, like learning has to happen from different sources. You can't just have one source, because if you have that one source, you're limited. It's mathematical, right? It just does not make sense. So one style doesn't have everything. That's my worst advice that I've ever given. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but it's karate ends up along with other martial arts too, man. It ends up being a bit of a cult, sometimes where
Yeah.
I'm sure you get that with speaking to your guests, like you get to understand, some of the flaws in the thinking there. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, that's like thinking of the school system. Like when you're in grade school, you learn everything from one teacher, and then from, of course, when you go to preparatory school, like, or of course middle school, you learn it from different teachers. Goes to high school, and then once you get to college, it kind of everything breaks into like different categories. Like if you're taking a
Absolutely.
science, you're taking a science class, you're gonna get like different varieties of science. You get the anatomy, you get the, of course, the environment, and etc. All that stuff. Yeah, so everything that you did as like a whole, and when you was a kid, everything's breaking off, and of course, depending on your major, yeah, you learn that certain type of science.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The way I see it is like every particular martial art is kind of like it's kind of like going to the doctor, man. You've got to you go to your walk-in clinic, and most people most of the clinics are general practitioners, GPs, right? And so okay, they've been to medical school and they've studied the anatomy and stuff, but they haven't really focused on one particular body part or an organ or whatever. If you've got a heart issue, you got to go see a cardiologist. If you've got like a problem with your knee, you got to go see a knee guy, an orthopedic surgeon kind of thing, right? You're not going to get answers from a GP. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
karate guys claim to. I'm not going to say all karate guys, but from the experience I've had, these guys claim to be specialists in pretty much every aspect of fighting, but not the case, because you'll get tuned up by a boxer if you strike. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you want to learn how to strike, I think the best striking system on the planet is boxing. One of them anyway, along with Muay Thai, where you're learning your knees and elbows and stuff. I mean, you can't knock combat sports. And that's where that's where unity comes in. Like I'm trying to say, hey guys, stop the madness. Stop thinking that what you got is the best, because it isn't. Go out there and train with everybody and bring it back. Unite everybody, because that's what it's all about. you know yeah, rant over.
Yeah, that's why Mr. Norris created the United Fighting Arts Federation.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so yeah, of course, yeah, that's why it was like, as I enjoy always going to the convention on in July. It's like we're always going to get these different martial artists that teach us different like different fighting styles. So yeah, so like I said before, we had George St. Pierre. So he's, of course, he's big with UFC, and yeah, he was teaching like sort of like what they do in UFC, or like how he trains. So it's always good. Well, mostly if you train, it's mostly self. That's why I always look for when it comes to training, self defense. Like what's the purpose of self defense? I mean, I always ask my students like, what's your goal? What's your goal after you leave school, or either like any place else? Your goal is to go home.
Go
Yeah, you're
home.
not worried.
Yeah,
Yeah,
survive.
and yeah, I always tell them like, what's your mindset? It's like, what you going to do when you get home, or am I going to make it home?
See, that's
Yeah,
another thing too, right? Like I also one of the problems I faced was with the whole idea of self-defense. I'm going to be honest, a lot of the stuff that I trained fell apart under pressure. When I trained with guys that did this thing for a living. So for example, in the Karate Unity Network, I'm blessed to have tactical combative instructors, guys that are law enforcement from various levels, like everything from traffic cops all the way to special force operators, right? And these guys see all kinds of violence at different levels every day, right? And so they're great guys to have in your network, because they'll call your BS. Like a lot of the bunkai that we would do, they'd be just standing there in the corner looking at us going, nope, right? And of course I get all defensive and I go, show me why. And they prove me wrong in seconds. A lot of the stuff we did and we called self-defense, had too many beats. Like we would, okay, against the haymaker punch, for instance, we would block, strike the hand, hit, grab, knee, elbow, turn the guy, foot sweep, down, couple of punches and out, right? These guys who deal with violence on a daily basis, they're going, bro, what you're doing is a kata still. If you want to use this in a self-defense situation, you got to be out by the third beat. It's like that punch comes in, you got to be crashing in. You're crashing into stopping this guy, right? You ballistically hit, and then you got to be out by the third beat. You know, at most by the third beat. You know, if you can end it earlier, great. So, man, that was a game changer to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, to your point, self-defense is so important. And knowing that you got to do this to go home is so important too. Like, but the thing is, you see, when you train in schools where they teach you all these curriculums that where you have all these extended techniques and stuff, you begin to believe that that's what it's all about until you get your ass handed to you by other people, you know? And you know, that can go either way. You give up, or you just say, okay, hey, show me that. I want to learn that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after all of the work is done, how would you reward yourself? I kind of call this a guilty pleasure.
Oh, bro. Oh, I want to talk about this. Okay, so there's do you know what bubble tea is? Boba tea? You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like a drink with tapioca starch balls in it. Have you had it before?
No, I haven't. I heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, boba tea or bubble tea. It's a thing here in Canada. It's a Taiwanese dessert drink, and I'm in love with it. So there's all kinds of flavors and things. But the first time I had it, oh, I almost choked because so you got this long straw and you got all these bubbles at the bottom. And my friends were saying, "Yo, Chris, you gotta take it easy when you're slurping in that thing." I'm going, "What do you mean take it easy?" So I'm drinking it, and the ball shot right up, and it's got stuck in the back of my throat, and I'm like, oh, like this, right? And they're all laughing at me, right? And then I say, "I told you, you gotta take it easy, right?" So anyway, apart from that, it was a great drink. So I love bubble tea. I like chocolate, and I love ice cream. That's my cheat meals. My cheat dessert. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, yeah. For me, it's like, yeah, it's like that would be my cheat meal, like pizza, chocolate, ice cream. You
Pizza,
know, I
for
mean,
sure. Oh, I heard New
yeah,
York pizza is amazing, bro. Yeah, big nod, yes.
yeah. I like New York, and I also like the Detroit style pizza. Yeah,
Oh, really? What's the difference between the two?
I mean, like I think New York is like almost like thin type of pizza, but with the
Okay.
but like Detroit style, it's like deep dish.
Deep
It's like
dish.
yeah,
Making me hungry now, man.
yeah. Go to Little Caesars.
Yeah. I've had Little Caesars. Yeah, we've got that chain here in Toronto. But yeah, man.
Oh yeah, there's one pizza place I want to visit because I know they got like a giant. It should be like near you. They have like a pizza place where they make giant slices of pizza. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. There's a couple of places. Well, there's this one place in downtown Toronto called the Big Slice, but
yeah,
we have big slice pizza. Like, yeah, the portions here are pretty big, but there are places that like they serve like for example, there's this place called Pizza, and also Pizza Nova, where the boxes are like this, man. You can get party size pizza, and it's like, yeah, it's a lot of pizza.
oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be my goal. To actually go to that one place where they make that giant slice, and then of course I'm probably not gonna eat the whole thing, but you know that's at least
Well, hey,
at
man,
least
when you
that's
come over here to Toronto, I'll take care of you, man. Let's go there. Yeah, man. Message me. It's that simple. Yo, I'm here,
yeah.
Chris. All right, let's do it. We'll go eat some
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What famous movie would you want to be in?
Oh, have you seen the movie The Raid?
Yeah, I think I did. Well, who's that movie in that
Okay,
movie?
so it was okay. The main actor is Ikau Awis. He's he's an Indonesian actor. And uh Pencak Silat is the art that he trains in. You if you look up The Raid, they made two parts to it, The Raid and The Raid Redemption. Bro, if you haven't seen that movie, man, you gotta see it like this week. You have to see
Eh,
this movie, bro. Ikao, I can send you a link to it later.
yeah.
Ikao Awis is the main actor. He's like a god in Indonesia. Like he does all kinds of action movies and stuff. And oh, bro, the the martial arts in that movie was unbelievable. And the bad guys in that movie, oh, so I want to be a bad guy in that movie. If I had the opportunity, I'd be the good bad guy who dies a glorious long death. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy who just gets killed quick. I want to be the guy who like gives the good guy a bad time, you know? But I still die. It's all good. But if I die, it's gotta be glorious. Yeah. Or just a bad guy in a Bond film. I'd like to put some hurt on James Bond. He gets away too easy sometimes.
Yeah.
Like to put some hurt on James Bond. And from an Asian guy, I want to put some hurt on James Bond.
Yeah.
He said, who's
Pacific.
that Asian guy putting on hurt on James Bond? Who's that guy? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just want to just a fantasy. And then I wake up, have some pizza.
Yeah. There's people they have one of those hats that just chop your head off.
No, but no,
Yeah.
I have some friends who, all kidding aside, I mean, I've had some friends that are into acting and stuff, and they just tell me, all the fun they have, with fight sequences and choreography and things. It just sounds like something really cool. Like you never know, man. When I'm done teaching, I might just explore something like that, or maybe even be like a technical, somebody like a technical person for fight choreography or something. Because there's jobs like
Yeah.
that out there. It's just a matter of just pursuing them, right? But
Yeah.
whatever, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. What would you say your secret talent would be?
Um, I often make people laugh. I mean, I'm a pretty fun loving kind of guy, and I one of the ways that the main trait. If you ask my wife, she'd tell you that the one of the reasons why she fell in love with me is because I make her laugh. And I find even as a teacher, I've been doing this for my second career. My first career was a computer guy, but my second career as a teacher, I've been doing it for 18 years, and the general consensus among my kids is Mr. Hanson's a funny guy, So I crack a lot of jokes in the classroom, keep things light, and yeah, I guess you could say I make people laugh. That's my secret talent. And then also I've lately, I never knew I would do this, but I love video editing. Video editing, I seem to have a little knack for. I mean, I like doing it. It makes me feel good just seeing all the scenes cut up nice, and then at the end, where you layer a soundtrack at the end, that's kind of like the icing on the cake kind of thing. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, I can really escape in it too. It takes a lot of my time, which I got to watch because sometimes I stay up late doing this stuff and it just kills me. But yeah, it's all about balance, right? Yeah.
Hey. All right. What was your dream celebrity encounter would be?
Um, I wrote some notes to this. I heard a lot about Keanu Reeves. I mean, first of all, I love his movies. I really loved how he his part in The Matrix, for example. But I would love to meet the guy and experience, all of his supposed humbleness. I was told, and from what I read too, he's a super humble guy, down to earth. Everyone raves about. So I would love to experience that firsthand. And the second person I'd like to meet too is Tom Cruise. I mean, despite all the craziness that they talk about him, he's an amazing actor, man, and he goes full tilt boogie on everything he does and touches. He does a great job. So I'd love to meet him and experience that talent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing that I found out about Tom Cruise. Since he done like the Top Gun movies, I mean he had flight that does flight lessons, or
Yeah.
he's like he think he's like a pilot or something. Yeah.
Did you see the latest Top Gun, man?
Oh yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
And I'm more used to like the first Top Gun, because him and of course Goose like getting the Top Gun, and of course Val Kilmer being in the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, it was like a shame what happened to Val Kilmer's character in the movie, but and
Yeah.
but the fact to see Tom Cruise return as the Maverick, and he's training all these new pilots or like new Top Gun pilots. It's like almost like it's like going back to like the first movie, but it's like it's
Yeah.
a new version. Yeah.
100%. Like I thought it was brilliantly done, and it was tied really well to the first one for sure. Everything from like the opening scene to like uh to the soundtrack to like the fight sequences, and just it was so good. It was so good. I loved it. I love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a shame that one of the actors that was in the first movie, Clarence Gilliard, passed away recently. So
Right.
yeah. And yeah, you see him in like Walker Texas Ranger and other movies. Yeah. It's just,
I don't remember that actor. Well, I think if I look it up, I'll probably recognize it, but I
well,
can't
yeah.
remember off the top of my head. Yeah.
Well, if you seen like the second Karate Kid, you see him like trying to chop the ice, and he doesn't do it,
Oh,
and then yeah,
oh, that guy. Okay, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. I think I know now. Yeah.
yeah. So he recently passed away. So yeah. Uh, all right. Here's the final question. Where do you
Ooh.
see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now. Well, let's see. Well, I wrote down some ideas here. Well, retired from elementary school teaching for sure. I'll be 54 in December. So, yeah. So, hopefully if I can retire within the next 5 years, I'll do that. But within that 10-year span, definitely I'll be retired, definitely within that time. Um, I want to stay healthy. Uh, I'm blessed so far with health. I still got it in me. I'm still pretty active. I train a couple of times a week and pretty hard too. And I'm okay to my younger students, and these guys like toss me around like a rag doll, which is good. So I can still do that kind of stuff. I want to dig deep into karate unity. Travel, train, and teach, and take my family with me. Whenever I can. Make more content and write, books and blog. You know, just have fun, meet people, and to me, it's not about the money. It's about this, man. It's about touching hands and being grateful. And I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna remember you, brother.
Yeah.
Every person I speak to, I remember, man. This is all part of my life, and it's not about money, man. Like, there's people out there who are chasing this dream that I'm telling you, it's killing them. It's killing them. And I'm a no one to say that, but I can see it. It's killing them. Like marriages are falling apart. This and that, and they're getting out of shape, and they're not happy people, man. They're chasing this dream that it's not a dream. And so the way I see it is, if in 10 years, I've already thought about it already, and it's happening now slowly. Like I'm migrating more to taking karate unity internationally, and just meeting people and touching hands with different people, learning from them, tasting food, and just enjoying life with my family. It's about friendships and relationships, brother. That's number one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can pretty much see like, it's not all about money. It's about really getting like helping people out. I'm not gonna be a sucker to turn down somebody give me $1 million toward my podcast, but I'm not gonna use that all that money towards myself. I got my of course I've been trained with my instructor for like 25 or 26 years.
It's
I
a
know
long
he's
time.
like he's in need of trying to build his empire. And I'm kind of if I was willing to get that money, I would put that towards like his studio, or maybe even donate to people that really need it. And
Yeah.
you got kids in the hospital or sickness. And when I was doing wrestling, I went to visit the children's hospital. This one kid, can't remember, he had the same name as me. He had like stage 4 cancer. And good thing he's in remission right now. And
Oh, that's great,
and
man.
yeah, so it was like really seeing that these kids like lose their chance to live because of these cancers and these diseases. And it's like feels like sometimes you can't do anything about it, but one thing, you don't give up on the kids that are meant to live.
Oh, 100%. That is a good cause, man. Same here, man. If I always tell my family and my good friends, if I excuse me, if I come into some big money or whatever, it's going to priorities are, I'm going to take care of the people who need it. I mean, that's important, especially like kids. I'm very sensitive to this topic because I teach kids for a living, right? And this particular year has been a hard year, not only in them, but for me. I two families, two kids, for example. One is now officially orphaned. Okay, the lost the mother and lost the father, lost the mother first to cancer, and then shortly after the father, right? And so now this kid is officially orphaned. And then the other kid who's they're good friends with each other. She lost her dad recently, and so she just has a mom now. So I mean, like, I'm telling you, man, suffering is a thing. It's a real thing, and you gotta look out, and if you recognize that everyone's going through something, we would put a lot of things in perspective and not worry about a lot of things. We would just kind of just be humble and help each other. I mean, because we need it. Every single person needs it, man. We all need help, man. We all need to be there for each other. So yeah.
Yeah, just thinking about it, when I got hurt, luckily my mother was retired, and like throughout my like having surgery and recovering till I was able to walk, she was always with me, seeing if I was okay, and really checking on me, just help me out, like yeah, at least getting back on my feet. I'm very lucky that she is retired now. But I mean, if she wasn't retired, she probably had to sacrifice her time away from work just to check on me. But for me, I had that good build. I was prepared to know what's coming, because if you know the risks when you do physical activity like sports. I mean, you're aware of the risks, and but yet you have to be prepared if something happens. For me, luckily, I knew eventually I was going to get an injury, and yet me working a good job with a good insurance, I was really prepared. So, with people who don't have good insurance, they paying all this money out of their pocket, and it's definitely a financial down spiral. And I was like lucky. Yep.
Good on you, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Still working to get back on my feet. I could say if I was talking video game, I'm like 25% loading, and yeah, it's taking a long time for the game to start again.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't give up, man. You got to keep pushing. Everything will have its time. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you talk about the kids that you're teaching that going orphan, no, that's I think about one student that was actually adopted. Yeah, after I think that his parents gave him up, and right now he's of course he has a condition, ADHD, and I kind of he's kind of like it was in a shell, and I was like that one person that kind of got out of his shell because of like me, at least showing on my experience. Of course, with me, I had ADHD, And I was that kid that didn't know how to learn properly. I can learn, but for some people that have like learning condition, I don't like calling it disability, or I just like calling it like a learning limitation.
Yeah,
You could still learn, but yet your
it's a
learning
different
is
way.
limited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, hundred
So
percent, man. I tell you, man, it takes a lot of patience to deal with people. Like as I get older, I'm starting to, I'm getting a lot of practice in it because in teaching, you're dealing with kids, parents, all kinds of different teachers, the public. It's you get lots of practice dealing with people. Your patience gets trained really well, and you begin to understand. It's an empathy exercise. You begin to understand people's struggles better and better, as you get older in this game. So yeah, I'm lucky for teaching. That's one thing that it's equipped me with is understanding people, better and better each day. Um it's a good thing, and it's helped me with my martial arts. So yeah.
yeah, most definitely. Okay, Chris. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. And is there any last words you'd like to tell our listeners out there?
I just want to say I'm grateful. I'm really glad you reached out to me. Remember to treat each other with kindness and respect. We're all going through something, and not one style is the best. Go out there, cross train with others. At the end of the day, we you'll realize, when you put in enough time in your main martial art, you realize that all martial arts and combat sports are speaking pretty much the same language, just for different contexts and different purposes, really. And so there's more similarities than differences. And once you understand that, you'll begin to understand the reason for the differences, and you won't use those differences as something to segregate different practices. You'll begin to embrace more, and um yeah, if you want to know more about that stuff, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And that's what I'm all about. That's the message I'm preaching over there. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And thank you again for joining me on this podcast. So definitely hope everything goes well for you. And of course, you gotta take care of that cold. I know I had it like a couple weeks ago. I know it's a long process. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been chugging at it for 2 weeks, but it's kind of hard to shake because every single kid in my class is sick. you know. But anyway, no, I appreciate that, man. And I'm gonna have to get you on my podcast next too. So put a big note here. Um,
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I'm trying to find another opening. So yeah, so we could get this down. So definitely it's a two-way street here.
yeah, man. So
Yeah.
when are you gonna post this and stuff?
Well, I'm of course I usually post a episode on Thursday. It gets posted. I have to get the audio to the editor because I'm part of a podcast group. So
Okay.
I give it to the editor like around Wednesday, and then he'll have it posted on Thursday. So definitely this Thursday, check out the bicbpradio.com website.
Yeah, if you can give me a reminder when that's out, but I'll check it out too. And I'm looking forward to hearing this. That'll be great.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do my little closing for the podcast. All right, all right. For those who just join me, tune into my previous episodes on the bicbpradio.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And I'll see you next time for another episode here at the Kickpod podcast. This is your host TJ Williams, bowing you out.